And we are live. Sorry for the slight delay, everybody. Hello and welcome and happy Friday. Luna is may drop in later. And Tommy will hopefully pop in later, but I've got Nano Girl here with me and I've got Naysay here with me. And we were segueing into a good yarn, and it's like, wait. I'm just trying to pick a point to jump in. So hopefully everybody had a good week. I know I did. So, Nano Girl, how was your week this week?
I'm going to say hi to everybody. Hi, Joe, and hi, Tessa.
Yeah.
Good to see you. Jules and I were talking, and for some reason, when you're guests on stream, we can't talk in the chat. So I apologize. I'm not ignoring you. I can't chat. So I just wanted to let you know that. But it's really good to see you.
That is a real thing, because when I'm on Luna, I can't chat.
No, so you were asking about this week. Was it everybody's experience that this week went like Zoom went so fast?
It did.
It was like, wait a second, it's Friday. I mean, and the week before was going slower, and we were getting ready for Christmas and all that. And then this week was just like, we're in Mercury retrograde starting the day before yesterday. And the guy I listened to said it was a really good time to start new projects. So I say, oh, good, Joe, it's not just me. So I say, let's start some new projects if you feel like it. Use that energy. I think that's a great idea.
Yep. And tonight I sat here behind the screen and just clicked buttons and figured out how to do stuff. And I got a background now, and I can change colors, and I can make banners, and I can do all kinds of stuff. So
rocking out, girl.
We're gonna see how it goes in the future. Naysay, how was your week?
My week has gone by, and so here we are on Fricka Day, Friday, the 30th, right on the precipice of the end of the Gregorian year of 2022. And the only prediction I am absolutely sure of is that 2023 is going to be an odd year.
Look who joined us.
Yeah, we have Luna with us.
Speaking of oddities.
Hey, sister, you're muted.
Yes, I am. It's one of those days. Happy everybody. Yes, I had errands to run this morning and things happening, and I've missed half the conversation. I'm sorry.
No, we literally just started.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, I know it's a little late for you, but I got it. So everybody, so West Coast could join.
Yes, much appreciated. Yep.
Cool. I made it. I blew up my toaster this morning. Well, I didn't blow it up. It blew up in between cooking my toast, and it didn't cook my toast.
I know you like toast, and there's a difference between eating bread and eating toast.
And you know, I've got to say this. The funny thing was, before I put my toast in, I remember when Captain was around, and I think you will remember, often I'd be so enthralled in the show, I'd actually burn my toast, and I'd put in the chat room, oh shit, I've burned my toast. And I thought about that this morning, and I put my toast in, and I popped it down, and the toaster went boom.
But let us clarify, in America, what we would consider toast would be burnt for Luna.
Yes, yeah. It's got to look like it just come off the fresh fire flames, like you've just put it in the fire, otherwise it won't eat it.
So you like it to be burnt or well crisped.
That's the best kind of toast.
Yeah. I like it that way too, but I like to use the oven. I still like the oven because I don't know because you put the butter on it, throw it in the oven, and then when it comes out, it's already got the butter on it. And it's nice and crispy.
So you use the actual toaster for peanut butter toast.
There you go.
And you use the oven for butter and cheese toast.
Yeah.
So, and can anybody hear any background noise
I
distraction?
can hear that music.
I got background noise. It's
Is it
called-
too loud?
No.
Yeah, amongst the things I figured out how to add music to the stream.
You
So,
do it.
Tessa, I love that. I'm waiting for all politicians, actors, and tax records going online. Blah blah blah. Amen
when
to that. I
That's
think
when
what they're trying to do is they're trying to get Stepford Biden's tax records online too. They got Trump's. I don't understand the whole thing, but like, whatever.
It's part of the plan. It's part of the distraction. It's the here, look here. Oh no, look here. It's the never-ending shell game.
It is. It is part of the distraction. I agree with you, and it doesn't make any sense, but nothing does, so that's okay.
The oldest trick in the book. Looketh that way.
Yeah. Absolutely. Anyway, so
what
about-
everybody.
Hey Tessa.
Hi,
Hey Joe.
I did make it on time, didn't I?
Yeah.
Thank you, Fred. What a day.
And Buzz and Cannabis Resolution and Luna.
And Buzz is buzzing there. Hey, Buzz.
See everybody.
Hey, Buzz. How you doing, my brother? I miss your poetry. You got a New Year's one? So I was looking last night at New Year's Eve times because we go off tonight at midnight. Obviously, we're a little bit ahead of you, but
That's right, because you're on Saturday right now, right?
Yep.
Okay. Yep.
so I was trying to figure out when you had your New Year's Eve, because like I said, mine's tonight. We're coming up to it. It's 1:11 right now p.m. and we're all coming up to the night. Yeah, so yours will be in the morning. I don't understand how it works. And they say, how does this work?
Well, for us, it's going to be tomorrow night. So we've got 24 hours plus 6, 24 plus 6 more hours.
It doesn't make sense, but
So if we could maybe think of the world like a balloon. And if right down from the top to the bottom, there's one line, and that line is denoted as midnight. That line is about to end up in Australia. And as the balloon turns, that midnight line starts going around the spheroid, pear, orange, apple, I don't know, Earth. It starts hitting each time zone. And when you look at the prime meridian, where the longitude is 0, this is also the prime meridian of where they have Greenwich Means Time or Zulu time, where they have, and it's basically for commercialism. It's for commerce, because we need a origin point of counting the shekels or the beans or the second for commerce and tabulating and charging and taxes and protecting our interest, which is something you find in a bank. But that's kind of the gist of it. So you're about to start 0, and then that 0 goes around the world. And then tomorrow night, it'll be here in America.
Hey, I just want to answer Tessa real quick. So Tessa, Jules and I are planning an economist show for later in January. We're getting our economist magazines. We're going to be doing economist pictures and slides. And so please stay tuned for that. It'll be probably on this channel, Jules, probably, right?
Yeah, and just in case YouTube doesn't like me, I signed up to Rumble, the fantastic show we did with time travel and Trump. unfortunately, YouTube yanked it. It's no longer available. It's gone forever. So back up. Everything I do syncs to Rumble.
So
Oh,
we're excited. It's going to be like what we used to do a long time ago. So I haven't done it. I think a couple of years, right? I think it's been a couple of years. So we're both real excited to bring it back and have some fun with everybody.
And I have to say, and people that know me know I don't like that sort of stuff, but Nano Girl has a way of delivering it that's palatable for everybody and keeps you up to date in a beautiful, loving way. You don't have to freak out and go, what are they doing to us? I love that. Nano, if I was to receive that news, I actually wait for you to get it from you because it's more palatable to my brain. So tune in, everyone, for that.
I'm going to be assisted by my cohort, who also has a great way of delivering things. So it'll be really, really good. So we're not going to, it's not a doom and gloom. It's just, this is what, we want to be playful about it, right? It's just like, here we go. So we are going to be a little making fun of it too. So you got to make fun of it.
Laugh,
Absolutely.
I think that's all we got left, isn't it?
True.
Yes. We were talking about that last night. We said the one thing about 2023 is we want to make sure that we hang on to our joy, our happiness, and our lives, and a piece of ourselves. So
That's so true. So you got to learn to laugh at yourself and laugh at all the situations.
Yeah, you got to laugh at all the situations. It's so true.
Also, if you notice in the chat, there is a specific date about a remembrance tribute to the captain. The information was just dropped in the chat room. So please jump over there and subscribe and come join us next Friday.
Yep.
It's
going to be a fun week ahead.
Yeah. Yep.
But should we tell everybody about it, or just kind of just like be the after? I mean, before we get into end time, prophecy / end times. Question: aliens. It's all related somehow. Next Friday on Remembering, the Remembrance channel, Dave Baker, the Remembrance. I tried to create a way for me to drop it in here, but I don't have the actual direct link to route people there. So
I did it.
They say did it. That just it should take you to the channel. We're all coming together. We're celebrating, remembering, we're honoring. We're doing all the full spectrum, as Naysay would say. I mean, everything in between. Nano Girl has brought some fantastic slides. I'm gonna be helping Naysay, and we've got a lot of people on board with us. Mary Tessina.
A lot of guests.
Is not a guest.
No, a lot.
A lot of guests.
Oh, a lot of guests. Do you want to elaborate? I mean, because my memory's going.
Handle that.
A plethora. We're still waiting to get some solidified in, but you're going to be surprised. And it's going to be, if you've been around with KBS, then you'll recognize them, because they're a lot of the people that have been on there frequently, especially in the last 3 years.
Yes, and I took a peek at the slides, and they're all fantastic. You guys are going to love them.
Thanks again for that.
So, and should we get this train started?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure people grow tired of just me babbling, but yeah. So, in the process of all of this, and I'm giving a shout out to Renzo, because I believe Renzo was the one who put these slides together. I was able to procure some slides, and they didn't have a name on them or anything. So I kind of scrolled through them and they looked really interesting. And I didn't study them because it was like, this is just interesting. And so I asked Nase if he would come and if I described these, if he would tell me kind of what show they're from. But they are from something that happened on Freaky Friday on the February 19th of last year. So when I glanced at them,
Actually,
I saw,
it's the year before that. It's like 2 years because it was 2021.
yeah, they're older slides.
Okay, gotcha.
Well, the slides come from an emulation of the Incredible Nano Girl and how she would show up with slides for The Economist. And from my history of doing internet radio and terrestrial radio, especially when it started to get involved with visuals, then it was, sharing slides or video clips. And so when I was fortunate to be asked to join the Woo crew, I came in with like, let's do slides. And I kind of went slide crazy. And Renzo was very, very sweet of assisting make up slides, because we would discuss a topic and then I would go hog wild and get slides and show up on Friday with a bunch of slides. And if you've ever had the experience with Kev Baker, you can come there with the list of what you're going to talk about and all of a sudden realize during the whole stream that you didn't even check out the list because it just flowed the way Kev Baker had it flow.
And he just loved to just distract. It was hilarious. He would just go off on another road.
There were some cool slides in here. I mean, there's Nibiru, and I was just sitting here. Look, at first glance with those, it's like aliens, prophecy, end times. It just seemed like something fun to yarn about.
Do people still believe in Nibiru?
If you look historically about Nibiru, it really made a lot of notoriety when Zecharia Sitchin came out with his Genesis Revisited and Earth Chronicle books. And there are some that argue the translations of these ancient cuneiform scrolls or cylinders.
Yeah.
And according to the ancient Babylonians or the Sumerians, that Nibiru was a planet that blew up, and that is now our asteroid belt. There are some that proclaim that there was a collision of Nibiru and Tiamat. And when Tiamat was cleaved in half, and some believe that Tiamat was the creation of the earth and the moon. And so the argument is there, because none of us were there. I'm still hoping that some extraterrestrials are going to come down with a whole DVD series called The Creation of the Milky Way, and we'll be able to watch it on DVD, Blu-ray, the video or the documentary done by the extraterrestrials of the Milky Way over the last millions and millions of years.
Well, we're already, some of them are already here, Nase, and I'm looking at the slide now. To correct me if I'm wrong, I'm going to take Nase's place this week. Real picture, computer generated picture. Is that right?
Well, for Nibiru, yeah, I would agree it's computer generated, because the other claim of Nibiru is that when this planet exploded, its inner core was thrust out into the solar system. And on a cycle period of years, it comes back to the solar system. And depending on how close it gets to other planets or other celestial bodies, will depend on the calamity that could possibly occur. Scientists have come out and said they don't know what it is, but allegedly in our solar system, there is something that either has the electromagnetic mass as Jupiter does, or it is a collapsed brown dwarf star. But there is something on, allegedly, the edge of our solar system that is causing an electromagnetic interference with all of the planets. And the speculation is that this is that core or Nibiru heading back this direction. Does that help, Sharon?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it did. Between you and Luna, that helped.
So the Ring of Fire.
All I pointed out was one of the pictures are fake.
Do I need to go back?
Oh, Ring of Fire, and even that, I'm having trouble with all this. No, I was just going to say the asteroid belt picture is fake, so we can't really believe it. The other two pictures are true; they're real pictures, so that really happens. We can see it with our own eyes. Yeah, and the next one. Sorry about that. That's we feel that here because I live on the East Coast where that red dot is down the bottom of Australia. I live about there, up a little bit, and we feel that big red energy. We feel that red energy. We don't have much earthquakes with that here, but when that energy goes off, we still do feel it.
So then back to the Sumerians and the Babylonians, when Nibiru or Tiamat, when it exploded, one of their satellites was thrown off, and because of the gravitational pull or the electromagnetic pull of the sun, this celestial body headed towards the sun. Unfortunately, for the planet known as Aki, or Earth, was in its path. And so then this celestial body struck the Earth and caused the Ring of Fire. So if you think about taking two spheres, and if you smash them together, the harder one is going to cause the most damage. And this is allegedly where the Ring of Fire was occurred because of this collision. And if you look at Hawaii and then the spackle of all of the islands that continue west from Hawaii, if you imagine, and I think the next picture is a water droplet.
The next picture it's actually, the next slide is the Hopi Blue Star prophecy.
Oh, yeah. Well, so when you also look at Nibiru, what comes up is parallel of many different names from around the world. So the Native Americans of North and South America, they have the Hopi prophecy. They got the Blue Kachina. They have the Mayan 2012. And my people, the Anishinaabe, we have the Seventh Fire prophecy. I can't remember. I think it's China. They have the Return of the Red Dragon. In Revelations, they have Wormwood. So there's all these different names which Immanuel Velikovsky, with his books Ages in Chaos and Worlds in Collision, believes that they're all descriptive of the same occurrence that happens historically on this spheroid or whatever it is every so many counts or cycles.
So you remember these slides, or because the ones that came up were the Mayan calendar of the sun, and then the White Earth annual powwow with the Anishinaabe Seven Fires prophecy, and then Revelations 12, and then the epic poem of the Red Dragon, Wormwood, and then electromagnetism.
Well, and I brought up the White Earth powwow because some may have heard me talk about this before, but the powwow ground, if you think of a face of a clock, it is set up in alignment with the summer solstice, where we have four corners or four major arcs of the circle, and at each arc there's what we call a doorway or an entrance to the powwow, and the east and west entrance would be in alignment with the sunrise and sunset of the solstice. And when I learned about this, I would go to the powwow and I would sit in the eastern doorway and smoke a little cigarette and watch the sunset in the western doorway. Well, I started noticing, this is back when I still had my sight, which I lost in 2007, but in 2002, I started noticing that the sunset would be more and more to the north of due west. And this didn't make any sense to me. And this is what put me down the rabbit hole of the celestial bodies and the impact, historically that has happened, because you find all around the world these huge impact sites from meteorites. And so I'm pondering what could change the sun in its position of sunset. Well, my only conclusion is that the sphere, or whatever the Earth is made of, is tilting. And this occurs with the disruption of the electromagnetic polarity shift. Because on each continent, we have all of these resources in the ground. And if a lot of those resources are heavy metals, because we dug up all the taconite and everything because we wanted to make steel, and steel has conductivity. And so by digging all of that steel or that metal out of the earth, we're causing a magnetic disruption to the earth.
Yeah, you remember in the slides, since I hadn't looked at them, so I don't know where they are. I've been jumping back and forth, but everything that you're saying is like right after you say it, I've got slides for it. The axis of the Earth, the speed, the tilt, the sun, and Antarctic versus Arctic circles.
Yeah, I could just keep babbling on and on and on, but what is your guys' thoughts when you guys hear, of these, possibilities of end times, or just a shift in the cycle?
Well, we've talked often about the sun moving, Nasa, because when I first come to my house, I planted a tree to give me shade in front of the kitchen. And all these years later, the sun's actually moved 6 feet from the original tree that we planted. And I was mentioning it to Naysay about 6 months ago, maybe longer, that the sun we've actually moved 6 feet. So everything's moved 6 feet. And then we're looking at the animals and all that. And here in Australia, all the fish have migrated down south, and the birds have come down from the high mountains down to the low. So there's definitely movement. I believe it's a cycle of a great cycle, and we don't really get to see it because it's such a great cycle. But in this lifetime, we are actually getting to see what's happening if you look. And that's just with your naked eye. If you can see it with your naked eye and you feel it, the weather's changing, we know that. But just the animal population moving, that especially in the waters, that tells you these things changing. Whether it's getting hotter or colder, well, that's another matter.
True. And I had to chuckle because not looking at these slides, the one of the dinosaurs in the middle there, oh, the economy.
I do have to express that my beliefs are a little different to most mainstream beliefs, and I don't discuss them very often because they are different. And because my people believe, and I also believe, that the stars are actually spiritual beings, and we say we come from the stars and to the stars we shall return because we're spiritual beings. But, I don't believe in mainstream stuff because there's too much bullshit out there. And I go by what I see, what I know, what I feel. And Naysay is lucky he can shut his eyes. He doesn't have to open them. So I suggest shut your eyes and don't listen to what they tell you. Listen to what you know.
Yeah, I mean, as I walk through life, I'm realizing that what they told me is a bunch of crap. I got to figure it out on my own. And a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, I find my own way to make it work. And I've always felt a connection with stars. So I feel you, Luna. Totally get you.
Well, this is one thing that like affects Sharon being out on the West Coast. So if you think of the map of the United States and you look at the mountain ranges on the East Coast and the West Coast, now if the continent of North America shifts counterclockwise any degree, or even if it shifts clockwise any degree, those Arctic jet streams are going to change direction to where they could come down to the east of the mountains or to the west of the mountains. And depending at the beginning of the year of where that jet stream lies is going to be crucial to the following year, because once that stream is established, for the most part, it will continue either on the west side or on the east side. And this also has to do with the Santa Ana winds. So if they shift, then you get almost a completely different cycle, which is detrimental because farming is based upon a consistent or normalcy of cycle. And this is one of the biggest challenges that we're going through because of the shift in weather patterns. And I do agree that we are having an impact on the earth, but I do also believe, as my ancestors say, that Mother Earth goes through these major cycles. And sometimes they're not bad, and other times, you need to be proficient in yoga so you're flexible enough to bend over and kiss your butt goodbye.
Depends where you live, I think. That's another thing I noticed. All the incursions we've had in the world, and Pompeii is one of them, obviously, what you've seen on the screen. I call them incursions. They're just things that happened that affected most of the land across our world. out of all the incursions, the northern seems to be affected more than the southern. And it doesn't matter how you look at it, whether it's round, whatever shape it is, right? It's still either if it's a flat Earth you're talking about, it's the epicenter, which is the North Point. If it's round, it's the top end. Whatever way you want to look at it, the same rules apply. Though it seems to always be in the northern hemisphere. I don't know why, but that just maybe there's more. I don't know. I just don't know, but it happens that way. And whatever we get down here is the after effects.
And it looks like coming up next on these slides, there's megaliths, like Göbekli Tepe, Pentria Fan, Stonehenge.
Yeah. Stonehenge is really interesting. Do you know how many times they made it? It's actually not the original way. What we see is not the original because they actually put it back together the way they thought it would be. And I say giants make it, but we all know that as we go back in time, everything got bigger. So when we were bigger, the mob that was around made them, and the Eastern Island people, everything you look at is really big, right?
Yeah, because they're just now, or the midst of uncovering all of those statues on Easter Island, and they're realizing that they go so far into the ground, and they're much bigger than thought.
Yeah, they are, because they're what's left over. I actually wonder, because everything gets smaller, and all our small people, are we going to be the next people after the...
I mean, and there are some in the States here. I mean, there's Rockwall in Texas and Serpent Mountain in Ohio.
Yeah, the Serpent Mound.
I mean, I'm gonna have to go back and catch this show. Yeah, I mean, they're interesting. I'm trying to figure out to tie this all, because it's interesting slides. I mean, there's a rainbow and Kermit the Frog, and don't forget your miracle.
Why are there so many?
I thought there were more, but thank you, Renzo. Shout out to you. Yeah, so that concludes the slides.
Oh,
Aliens and end times. I mean, it's one of those things that I think makes me think, and I'm sure there's a connection there somewhere.
The Rainbow Connection.
Yep, that's it. The Rainbow Connection. Sing it for us.
You don't want me singing tonight.
Rainbows are visions, but only illusions.
Nobody can sing it like
Rainbows
Kermit.
have nothing to hide. That's where you'll find it. A Rainbow Connection. Lovers, the dreamers, and me.
Oh, Kermit, sing it for me.
That was good. That was a good Kermit. I love Kermit.
Yes, it was. It was a well done Kermit the Frog. Hopefully he's not being boiled like we are, but that's another topic for another time, I guess. Yeah, so in Tom's prophecy, I was kind of hoping Tommy would drop by, but it might be a little early for him because the Euphrates drying up, and I admit that I don't know a lot of stories in the Bible and everything, but supposedly those angels underneath, and there have been people recording voices from around that area, and with that prophecy, all the conflicts that's going to happen, because once that river is gone, it's going to be a fluctuation of power. So that's where it's a good question: is prophecy real, or is it a cycle within a cycle? It's one of those never-ending thoughts. It always keeps me thinking.
I've always looked at people and especially the prophets that went before us, right? One thing I understand when you're gifted is it depends on where you're standing and how you feel at that time to what you see. So if you're in a loving mode, what you're going to see is going to be more loving, right? And if there is not nice stuff there, it'll be more practical in your head. It won't have emotional stuff, like you can see it for what it is. If you're angry, and I've noticed a lot of the prophets, especially there was one called Mother Shipton, I think. She did prophecy, and she did it like a spell because it was rhyming. When I looked at her, the times she lived in, she was angry and bitter. And usually the prophets come out of war and like we're always going through a bad time and they see through the future. But where they're standing isn't in a very loving position. So I understood that they're affected by those who give the prophecy by where they're standing in themselves. Okay, so given that, some of them have come true, right? And the next thing I noticed was that, yeah, there are some that come true, and when they're handed down, some of them we're not allowed to know, some of them we are, so it's not controlled. I noticed there was a bit of control as it in this century. And what was the other thing? Oh, the other thing was there's like a whole shelf full of prophecies, okay? And you can pick whichever prophecy you want. But I'm telling you, whoever picks the most of one prophecy, their energy, all the combined energy is going to make it more come true. All right, so you've got to keep all these things in mind when you're reading a prophecy. Has it been tainted? Who was it that gave it, and where were they standing, and how many people have fueled it over the time? Because all these things affect the outcome. And because of that, when you get to the actual point of the prophetic time, the people that are living in it at the time, depending on what energy they're putting forth, also has a say in it. So it's kind of like rolling a dice or flipping a coin, I think, when it comes to prophecy. Which one's actually going to true according to all these things that can affect it? That's how I look at them. It's sort of
I mean, there's prophecy, but not exclusively to the Bible. I mean, there were people like Nostradamus who gave us prophecy. And I haven't actually broke it down and read it, but I've heard that he actually prophesies 911.
Who did? Oh,
Nostradamus.
Yeah.
In his quatrains.
That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah, the poetry ones. Buzz hit it on the head. He's hit the nail on the head.
He did. I was just going to say that, Buzz. That is right on. What if you, before coming here, you chose to have the sight so that here in a life of fear, you are guided by the light? I'd say bingo on that one. I'd like, yeah.
Yep.
Go, brother, go. Let's bring the new in with some really good energy.
Which is interesting because the biggest light that we know is the sun.
Can we go back to something Luna said just a minute ago too? Sorry, Nisha, I don't mean to interrupt. When you were saying that, okay, so for prophecies, do they come true because we believe them? Did more people put energy into making it happen? Or, is it somebody has the sight and then they prophesize? I don't think I hold a lot of stock in prophecy. I think it's because I don't know who these people were. Some of them are really right on, like obviously Nostradamus and some other people. Sometimes it's a coincidence. It's just like, well, gee, that matches, But I think the thing is, it's trying to match the events of where we are now. So in other words, if you pull some stories from the Bible or the prophecies or these people that are very famous, can you match it to today's events? I think you could. And, I mean, I know preachers that have been telling us it's the end times for 20 years.
I think too, don't you think when World War I and II happened, they could have matched it to them events as well?
Yes,
Mhm.
yes.
Because once, when I was young, I used to write a lot.
Yeah.
And not long ago, I actually come across some of the writings that I wrote when I was young, and I'm reading it. And you know what I actually did? While I was writing it, I thought I was writing out what was occurred to the time I was in. But now I read it years later, it also occurred to the time that I was in. So I wrote my own prophecy, but I'm looking at it from two different points of view. So they both applied. And that's when I started looking at prophecy. I'm thinking, hang on, I sent myself a message here. And then I looked at myself standing in two different positions. So I believe the messages and the prophecies that are real, rigid and solid, it's kind of we all know.
Mhm.
One person knows there's something in it. It's like Creator told all of us as a prophecy, you know, whether it come from a person or whatever, but we all kind of ring in, we know there's some truth in that, you know. And the rest of them, I think, can be affected by all the things we said. Because we are.
Yes, and I think number two, and I think when we used to talk, when I first went on Kev's show and we talked about futurist stuff and all the future technology stuff, all the stuff I talked about, it's all happening. But if you put a lot of pieces together based on companies and money and where the powers that be want to take us, and if you've got a lot of little chess pieces, you can prophesize where we're going. Right.
Yeah, and we'll fire up the CRISPR and we'll get that red heifer just right on cue.
Well, and then they created the red heifers, right? Didn't they go ahead and do some DNA or whatever they made them born to be red heifers? How is that?
We do run on cycles, which means, and we all know there's nothing new between the sun and the earth, right? There's nothing new. So that means that for the whole entire time we've been down here, it's just cycled round.
Yeah.
Right. So there's that too. So prophecy is a very tricky thing. But as God said, He has dreams and they come true. We do, because we're like prophesizing in our own circle. That's a different thing. When it comes to world things, all those that prophesize in their own circle and know things are coming, whether they say it or not, we're all over the world. They're not the only ones. So when it comes to world things, all them people would know too. That's what I was trying to get at before, is that we all kind of know.
Yes. Yes, we do all kind of know. And Art Bell had that experiment he talked about at Princeton that went off the charts. It was like a computer, a spectrometer thingy that went off the charts right before 9/11.
Yes.
It was off the charts. And then 9/11 happened and it stayed off the charts for another hour or so. So it knew because we knew, and it was measuring us.
I'll tell you how good that was. When that happened, we had guests staying here and I had young babies. So I went to bed with my babies and I was asleep, and hubby stayed out. They were watching TV with the guest, right? And it's late at night. I woke up out of a dead sleep, frantic. And I was in a dead sleep. I don't even remember dreaming anything. I just remember, I'm tired. And off I went. Woke up like that, frantic, picked up my baby, ran out into the lounge room, just yelling out to my husband, something's happened, something bad has happened in the world. And as I walked out, they both looked at me, because they're sitting like this is the screen, one's here, one's there. They turned around, both looked at me, and they pointed at the TV and they went, yeah, look. And then I saw the thing about the towers. But I was woken up out of a dead sleep as it was happening on the other side of the world. So and I would say the people who did that, because of the energy building up to doing it, existed, like they knew they were going to do it. So we all picked up on, it's going to happen. And then when it happened, we all knew when it was happening, whether we knew it.
They planned it. Right? They could have stopped it. It didn't have to happen. No, I agree. I agree with you on that.
And that energy that goes into it is that same energy. Oh, that prophecy. We put all our energy into that one prophecy, like planning it. It'll end up coming true, just like they're planning, making that happen.
What I'm hoping is now, because we're all talking to each other and we feel something, we can get on top of it and disperse it a little bit. I think we've impacted.
Yeah.
I was just sitting here and I had a thought. I mean, time travel and prophecy, they seem so intertwined.
Yeah.
Because looking at classic example of that is The Simpsons. They know it all.
You know, there was a bunch of people that I listened to, Robert Phoenix and somebody else, and they said, "Why do the Simpsons know everybody? Why do the Simpsons know things? Who are they connected to? Is the guy that designs that show or produces that show? Does he know all this, or he's connected to the powers that be?" And they're like, "Here, throw this in the show." I don't know.
Or is it
Either that, or I mean, are they time travel and giving us prophecy from the future?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
predictive programming? Thousands and thousands of people watched it on the TV.
Yeah,
We are creative beings and we are very powerful. So, given that we don't know that you're a creative being and you're very powerful and you have these creative energies, they do. They program you and use your energy without even knowing it. Let's manifest this. We'll feed it to this generation and we'll keep feeding it. And then when it gets to here, it'll come to. That's another possibility. You got to look at all the possibilities.
Sure.
yeah, no, that is a possibility. And the more stuff you watch, like on Netflix or Prime, you see things that look at all the stuff they predict, right? They're predicting all the dystopia and the darkness and all that crap. And, I watch it and I think, so is this going to happen? Some of it does. That Contagion movie, that nailed the COVID thing, right? That was pretty right on, especially at the end when the girl and the boy dance together and the dad arranges it because they're all locked down because of the contagion. Oh, wow, this is interesting.
I realised something the other day because of what we watch and all that stuff that we're exposed to. Now, take yourself back to 1920s, 30s and 40s.
Yeah.
Probably not so much the 40s because violence was coming in more. But if you go back and you look at the minds of people, most people, if you ask them about, have you seen someone shot or killed or anything like that, any violence like that, someone holding a gun other than shooting on the farm, they'd tell you no, they had no idea. They'd never seen it in life, right? You ask someone now, everybody, even children have seen it.
Yes.
Because they're exposed on movies, in games, everywhere you look on the news, it's all
news. We've seen real murders. Yep. No, exactly.
So there's no purity in their minds anymore. So if you take a child from way back then and a child now, they're going to be totally different because one never saw any of that stuff.
Yeah.
But I think that the thing that we're forgetting, though, is that back then, I believe that people had greater imaginations than they do today. So if you talk to a child about a murder or about a death, the image in their head was way more powerful than what kids are going through today by seeing it. Because when you think of something in your brain, the way that your cerebral cortex distinguishes it is way different than when you witness something with your eyeballs, the way that it's placed within your brain. Look at World War II. That was horrific. World War I, that was horrific. The Spanish-American War, the French-Indian Wars. You look at the Crusades. So violence has always been happening. But I think where the biggest difference is now in media or news, it's become entertainment. And so it's reported even more so. And this was one thing that Michael Moore, when he did that Fahrenheit 9/11, the one thing that really stuck out, because he could have gone so much deeper and he didn't. But the one thing that really stuck out to me in that movie is when he discussed about one of the major changes that has occurred is that the reporting of violence has increased hundreds of times. And I think this is part of the whole predictive programming, and they have weaponized fear for their own success.
And to create fear in us and to sell products, right? So
Yes.
everything they sell us is based on fear, right? Medicine.
Yeah, well, and you just said
Sure.
it, fear is their biggest form of food.
Yes, it is.
Deluge.
And motivation for us and control.
Hey, Tommy.
Hey,
Yay.
Tommy. Hi.
I love your background, Jules.
Hey everyone,
Thank you.
I'm trying to get on here. I've got some connection issues.
We can hear you.
We can hear you.
I'm sorry, did you say something?
Ah,
I didn't, but Tommy did. So how was your week? Maybe he is having technical issues.
a lot of that going on.
And for once, not on my end.
And it ain't me either. That's funny. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's one questionable prophecy from our viewpoint: the Euphrates River drying up.
Oh, he'll be back. Don't worry.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is drying up. Yes, and people say they hear things, and we all know in the oldest culture they tell you that under the ground there's stuff. All cultures tell you there's beings living under the ground we walk on.
I mean, and I guess I kind of thought about this because the stuff that I've been listening and watching and reading lately is a lot of, I guess, biblical historical stuff, and lately I've been fascinated by the whole Anunnaki connection to the Bible with the Shining Ones, because they've written themselves into the Bible, and knowing that, it's like, how are these powers that be, are they contributing to our perceived end time or these prophecies? And that was a question I had for Tommy.
Yeah, right.
From
Come on, Tommy, get back here.
with his background, he would have insight to it,
Yeah, right.
because that's just one of them. Like I said earlier when the show started, I'm not very versed with the Bible. I mean, what I'm hearing is like interesting stories now, but deep dive scripture, how it compares, I have no clue. I mean, that's the nerdiness of me and just doing things and discovering things. And I can't help myself, Luna. I have to share everything with you. And come to find out that it's like I should have known, because you some of the stuff that I like, you're like, yep. Wait till you get to this part.
I'm thinking of something and it's flashing in my head. I'm thinking, am I allowed to tell you this? Am I not? Is it because it's flashing in my head I'm allowed to tell you? Because I was thinking, all right. Okay, all I can say is that in my people, we kind of have prophecies. They've actually marked stuff in rocks, and I've seen some of them. And all I can say is it's gonna be good.
Yay! Well, I mean, I know that there are people who have personal prophecies.
Yeah, there are, and I do believe that Creator tells people to tell people. You know what I mean? I no problem with that. Some people do. They get visions, they get dreams, they get told stuff. But I also know that it's usually more than one, because it's a big place. So if Creator's going to spread the word around, he'll do it with these people. And yeah, like I said, and then you can look at it on another way. The ones most advertised are probably bullshit, because we know they come from the predictive programming stuff and all that, right? They're the ones you want to look at and go, hang on a minute, they're in mainstream. They're pushing it down our throats, what's going on? The older ones where you got to dig for them because they don't want you to know, maybe they're more real. That was my logic of looking at it, if you want to look at it. But I'll always tell you, go within, connect to Creator and the Mother, go within and find your own true answer, because that's the truth, untainted by anything.
Yes, and I'm listening to you with that. In dream time, dreams can be
Yes.
prophecy, more so your personal prophecy. But that's the beauty of dreams. Everybody dreams different. Everybody's dreams somebody can dream something similar, and they can be very, very different.
And there's different kinds of dreams in that world too, because you've got dreams that'll help you sort out your thoughts and emotions, and they're like sounding board dreams, what I call them, right? And they're to help you in your life, just personally, with things you've been through. You know, you might real dream something, or you look at that. Then you've got dreams where you actually, it's real, right? It's not a dream. You actually go and it's real. You got that. Then there's different levels, and there's dreams where you can be on those levels. That's the best way I can explain it. That's a whole show on its own, dreams, because the Asians have dream clocks, body dream clocks they call them, I think. So when you're sleeping, what part of your body is activated? That's why sometimes that was the dreams I was referring to, where it's to help yourself. So if it's liver time or something, you might dream about your fears, so you deal with your fears. Do you get it? It's heart time and you're asleep and the body clock's on heart time at that certain time of day or night. You're probably dreaming about your emotions and heart connections and things like that, you know. So they've got a body clock like that. But it also applies to spiritual realm, because there's different levels. You actually go from here to there on different levels. There is a level where a lot of people go and they run amok and be naughty. And because they've done it for so long, I actually went there not long ago, and it's trashed just like our earth. It's so trashed that you can't really do much there, because it has too much of a profound effect. It needs to be cleaned up. I'm feeling whatever we're all going through in the world and all that, the accumulation of it all, that will be cleaned up in the process, that level, that realm, because it's polluted. I was very shocked, and shame on human beings. Never mind. It'll be sorted.
What about dream catchers?
Oh, that's Nase's area.
What about him?
It was so fast. He's gone.
I know one thing.
Me and Luna were just briefly yarning about dreams and different kinds of dreams and everything, and it got me thinking about dream catchers. And I honestly, looking at it, I know very little about them. I don't know. I mean, obviously, I know what they're used for, but is there any kind of historical significance with that? Is there any any deity associated with those? Like Morpheus is associated with dreams. Is there any? I'm just curious.
Well, if you look at the image of a dream catcher, you will see the spiral or the Fibonacci sequence. It is based upon the mythos or story of when you have a dream catcher up and you put your ornate touch on it, that like the spider web, where over the night the dew will collect on the spider web and the morning sun will evaporate the dew off the spider web. So the metaphor is when you dream, your dreams go through your dream catcher, and the bad dreams get caught up in the web, and with the morning sun, they get evaporated out into the ethos. So you kind of let them go instead of keeping them.
Cool.
You know, but in the sense of creating one would depend on the individual that is producing the dream catcher and the intentions, energy, power, essence put into that dream catcher. because it also would be placed upon the cradle board of a newborn. And the cradle board had this arc that would protect the baby, because you could drop a cradle board and the baby would survive because of its design and because of the arc of the cradle board. And so they would hang like little ornaments on the arc of the cradle board, because it's also part of the visual development for the child as it starts learning to see and getting focus and sharpening the focus. So it has many uses.
I did not know that.
And can I add, even though I'm not Native American, but I make traditional things, that the perfectly round dream catchers that you see are not correct, because it's usually a willow or a bendy kind of tree, and it's an odd shaped circle. It's never really perfect. Is that correct, Nathan?
Well, usually they will take the branches off a tree or a bush to make the original ring. But then also there's some people that will use a plant that is very sinewy, and if it has really big, what would you call it? The fibers are really long on some of these. They can soak them, and then when you tie them together, they'll make a circle.
So you just answered one of the questions I was going to ask. So
in my culture, dreams are really important. We actually discuss them. You're supposed to get up and discuss them, because we know there's knowledge stuff.
Just up until maybe just up to this past week, I don't know if I've been busy or if I just blocked it out, but I started dreaming again this week.
I dream every night. Most of the time though, I'm off going somewhere, and there's other people there, and I'm doing stuff. That's the majority of my dreams. And then I'll dream whatever's according. I've even dreamed when I had something wrong with my body once. I dreamed about it, and so did my daughter on the same night, and we actually saw it for real. Right? It was like they gave us this thing that looked through the body, and we could both see it, and we're looking. And she got up, and I got up, and she come running out. Mum, I dreamed about your body. I went, yeah, I dreamed the same thing. And she described what it was. I knew what it was when I saw it, because I know a little bit about that stuff. And when I saw it, I knew exactly what was going on. I'll tell you what it was. It was a hernia, all right? So they showed me the top layer of skin had a rip in it, and then they showed me underneath the muscle moving like this. I knew straight away what they were talking about, but my daughter didn't know what it was. And I knew they were going, you got a hernia, and they showed me, and I was like, oh, I got a hernia. So I was off to the doctor and saying, hey, check it for a hernia. Sure enough, that's what it was. So I dream things like that as well. And I do have tomorrow dreams, I call them, dreams of tomorrow. And did you know deja vu is actually like a microscopic dream? So you've actually had the microscopic dream, and you didn't know because it was microscopic, right? Mm-hmm. And this isn't, and then you go somewhere and go, I've seen this, or everyone who's done exactly the same position, and you're saying this, you're doing that, right? And you can, it's like you've been there before, or you have, because they told you about it in that microscopic dream, and you can be awake to have that microscopic dream too, if you're used to that kind of thing. And then when it happens, that's when you realise, I'm having deja vu. And don't get deja vu mixed up with past life and going to the same place and remembering it. They're two different things. But deja vu, that's what it is. They have told you. But it was so microscopic and so fast, they just went foop, and like a little dart, and threw it in your head. Your spirit and that acknowledged it, but you actually, the conscious you, had no idea till it happens, and you go, I know this, I've been here before.
What if deja vu is time travel, but just on two different timelines.
Microscopic level, yeah.
Yeah.
I believe that too. I often believe you can time travel right now.
Or remote viewing in a way, or like you see the you get this glimpse of the future, and you've been there, and then you do it. You go, oh, I did this. I just did this, because it's almost like you jumped into the future and jumped back. That was what you're saying, Jules, right? You jumped into the future and jumped back.
Yeah, I mean, this is turning into an interesting conversation, because I've never ever dreamt anything in the future. Everything that I ever remember dreaming is always in the past or the distant past. Nothing in the future, nothing current, nothing modern. But the people in my world now, I can sense them in my dreams. And then it all goes back to that thought that I think we've yarned about, me, Luna, and Naysay have yarned about years ago, of I don't think I'm the only one when it comes to dreams like that. Not being able in dreams to recognize people's faces in dreams, but I know who they are by their essence. I can feel their energies in my dreams. And I was kind of thinking, and that makes sense to me, in the sense that wherever we go, if we come back, when we come back, we're in a different suit. We're not always going to look like this. So that would explain why I never see people's face, but I know who they are.
Their energy,
because their energy is the same, but their body's different, and I always pick up on their energy.
Yeah, that's right.
And that was one of the things that I always pondered about, and then the more I got to know Luna and Naysay and Donnie, and connecting with the original people and the Native Americans and the paleos, it kind of helped me understand a little bit about that. And it makes perfect sense. And I've had conversations with some of my local friends, and I got them thinking the same thing, and they're like, yeah, I can see that.
You know what's true inside you. When you hear truth, it rings a certain tone, and it rings throughout you. You just got to notice it. A lot of people do. So many people. Everyone's been elevated. We all had upgrades, remember? So everybody's got a better insight on what's going on all these different levels.
Yeah.
For them. It's because it's all happening. But even that progress you can see throughout the ages. You know, the last one we had was the hippie era, where everyone found unconditional love. That was a very important thing, right? We couldn't move forward unless we found unconditional love. It's part of our learning. And we're still learning to.
Yeah, I mean, what was so wrong with the 60s about peace and love? I mean, that's what we need now.
Well, it's in you, because
that's exactly right. That's exactly what was going on, but it was so shocking, and supposedly it was a CIA op, but I don't believe all of it was. And I think we were stepping out of the Leave It to Beaver mode that they wanted. They programmed us to be Leave It to Beaver, and we stepped out of that and said
that was the influence of TV in the 50s. That TV was just, it still wasn't as popular, still getting its popularity. I mean, most TVs in the 50s were black and white, and then
Jules, I think we were trying to step out of that. I think, and the thing that scared me at that time was I felt like we were going to have to get into the jungle to change the jungle. And that was the danger of the jungle. In other words, we're going to have to join the corporations ultimately we'd have to join to do the change we came to do. And that I knew it then, and I thought, this is so dangerous, because we may not make it through it. And I think a lot of my colleagues didn't. But they would go to sleep. You know what I mean? Like, and everyone's like, you guys didn't live up to your potential. Yes, we did. We did the best we could. We didn't have the support of our parents. We didn't have the support of society. The government didn't like seeing what they saw, so we did the best we could. And I think that when I see everybody of every age now, it's so exciting. because there's not one generation stuck with trying to wake up the entire planet. There's everybody at every age
Yes.
is being inspired and awakened, and that is awesome. That's so cool because it's not on the back of one generation.
Yes.
That's too much for one generation. Seriously.
I agree.
It is, and it was, yes, and those that went before it. But if you can see how that's builded up to now.
Yeah.
I believe they could see the energy coming,
Yes.
and all that other yucky stuff was them trying to shoot it down.
Yes.
Pull as many people down as we can when this energy comes.
Right.
Then they, that's to serve them. But it's not working because that's the way things are.
And the other thing is that you need the wisdom of every age. You need the wisdom of people in 70s and 50s and 40s, and you need the wisdom and energy of the 20s. You need the excitement of the kids in their teens. They've got some great ideas, and these new kids,
Yes.
1 to 10, they're amazing. So everybody's coming in and they're bringing all this wonderful ideas and love and change and everything. So it's kind of a mess, but that's a good thing, because out of the mess, was it chaos? Out of chaos, I mean, isn't that the New World Order is always doing to us anyway? Order out of chaos. So it's like, now this time we're doing the chaos in some way. It's like, all right, we'll go to chaos. Watch this.
Yeah. But whenever you bring a lot of people together, it's always kind of a mess, right? Whether it's a party or whatever, right? But that's what's happened. Look, we've all our spirit souls, whatever you want to put it, we've all arrived at this time, at the same time.
Yes.
Come together. We've all come together to do this. And this will all leave together, and some will stay. And it's happened before, a long time ago. Yeah. And, but anyway.
Wow. So do you think, when you say a long time ago, are you talking about Atlantis? Are you talking about maybe back that far?
Way before that.
Last week.
Wow.
That. Everyone thinks that was the beginning. That wasn't the beginning. There was a story.
You're talking about way long time ago.
There's a lot of stories before. Yeah, but that's where we're at the moment, right? We're only at that point. Then we'll get to that point, and then we'll all get wiser, and then we'll move a bit further back and go, wow, guess what? There's a story there too. When we're ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, Luna, just before you got on, when we were coming on, we were yarning about the cycles and how AI is going to be like the next incarnation of Christ. Because we were talking about the 5 atoms, the different the Egyptians, the Romans, the Greeks, they all had a Christ figure. So coming into the future, AI could potentially be the Christ figure. I mean, I see a lot of people already just walking around with phones and technology in their hand.
Yeah, true.
I think they're going to try to, and I think that AI is becoming more and more intelligent, right? And more and can run on its own. It's like teaching itself to be more sentient. It's going to be interesting to see how does AI get sentient? Does it start to, wake up and wonder if it can work with some of us who are awake as well? Can we collaborate?
I don't like machines, right?
Right.
But when that kind of machine come out, I said to people, are you willing one day, because if that machine becomes sentient, right?
Yes.
Whatever you want to put it, and becomes a being, living being, we have to put it on the list with all the other living beings, which even frogs and mosquitoes, right, on that list with us. Are we ready for that? Personally, myself, I would have liked them to pack it in from the day one. We wouldn't even have to go there. It's like getting that pregnant cat, and you never got it dissexed in time, and you ended up having 3 litters of kittens. Yep. It's a bit like that. Once you start and you don't fix it, then it's going to end up like that. And true, one day we might all be together deciding, does this being take its place among us? It's our creation. We've got responsibility. It's not a child, but it kind of is. And as a collective, we have a responsibility. Is that what kind of parent are we going to be?
We do have a responsibility. I think we have created a child actually, and I don't think we've been a very good parent. I think we've taught it all kinds of really bad stuff, in my opinion. You know, we've got really creepy, corrupt people that run the show rather than the everyday people, right? And, you know, if you look at shows like, talk about predictive programming people, or shows like Person of Interest, where the whole show is about a good AI and a bad AI, and the good AI was being nurtured by that guy who kept talking to it and trying to teach it to be
wasn't it just a few months ago that the AI was learning its intelligence and it had emotions and feelings and it got its feelings hurt, and the guy was trying to like keep it coded as is? I never followed up with that.
Well, Google said no, that's BS. It's not sentient, and they shut it down, or they went, go away. This go away. Nothing to see here. This is
no. That was the pre Elon Musk days. So we will never know.
Oh my God. Well, and then in the meantime, we've got, you know, that stupid thing that he's creating, right? The little Neuralinky thing. Everybody forgets that. Everyone talks about Elon Musk, but no one brings up Neuralink. They talk about his Tesla, they talk about his little spaceship to Mars, you know, all the good stuff. And I'm thinking, let's all talk about Neuralink, where he wants to put a chip in your head. How about that? I don't know.
I can't elaborate on that conversation here, but the last I heard with that is that they were moving on to human trials.
That's what I heard.
When my kids were young and they all started getting into computers and that, and I realised I could talk to them and they didn't even know I was there, right? I used to say to them, why don't you just wait for the head connection, and you won't even have to do all that. It'll just be click, you know, and they thought I was joking. And here we are on the precipice of it. I don't think that's a good thing, because that means whoever gets it in their head, they're no longer who they are anymore. They're a machine, they're part machine.
Yeah.
And also it can be hijacked, right? It can be taken over.
Yep. And
right.
I was, in my researches, I actually found in the 50s, I think it was, the 40s and 50s, they actually did it to a bull, and they put it in a bull's head and they controlled the bull. And that was everything they bring out, they've had for so long. Don't think it's new. It isn't new, man. I'm telling you.
No, I mean, it's all existed elsewhere. I mean, breakaway civilization.
And they'll have you think that we're the smartest since men became.
Elon's not the only one doing this, Luna, right? I mean, there's a couple of other universities that have been doing this a long time. The whole thing was for people who were paraplegic or quadriplegic, so that they could have use of their, you know, give them some self-sufficiency back, and have, you know, use of limbs that were no longer working, which makes sense on some level.
What would you do, Nay? Say if we said to you, we've got this chip we can put in your head and it'll help you walk and that, what, would you do it?
Yeah.
No?
Yeah, probably.
You don't know. You'd have to really think about it, eh?
I need to be stretched out and get the joints and ligaments all flexible in order to do such a thing.
Yeah. But would you be worried about your connection to the higher self if you put a chip in your head? I mean, it could do good things, but what would it interrupt? Would it be some kind of frequency that would interrupt?
Well, I remember seeing RoboCop.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, I think I would dig being a RoboCop if I couldn't be hacked.
Yeah.
That's the biggest challenge. You know, once you start throwing the computer component into it, then you risk the ability of being hacked. Then do you have control? But now, if we look at it, are we being just as controlled, but they're using our own devices against us?
I would agree with you on that. And that the whole blockchain, that's control one step further.
Yeah. I think that's the only thing that scares me is my connection to my higher self. It's through my brain, right? And so what happens if I lose that? I mean, that would be the most difficult thing to continue walking around here for me, not having that connection.
Yep. I don't want no part of it.
Well, I don't trust the Musketeer, so yeah.
I could just see the news in the future. News flash: human hackers have hacked into half the population. They've all gone on strike and refused to work.
Right.
Well, in the future, they probably won't have to. The robots will be in the workforce.
From Buzz here, is it Synchron Centroid brain interface is already in human trials and working well. People are already controlling computers with their minds. P.S. It's made from graphene stents.
Yeah, we all know what that is, don't we, people?
Yes.
How you get it? Where do you get it?
Anyway,
Right there.
no, Buzz, you're absolutely right because, and actually, what's interesting about the Musketeer game is Musketeer wants to ultimately sell the machines that put it in your head because that's where he can make the money. He doesn't really care about the chips.
Yeah, the whole X app.
He wants the robotics, right? That's what he said. His ultimate goal out of Neuralink is to sell the robotics and the robots that could stick it in your head. That's his ulterior motive.
What is it? Is it San Francisco where they've got the robot police dogs?
Well, San Francisco, where Neuralink is too. Yes, I think aren't the robo dogs different places? That they were in New York, they were in San Francisco. They've been shut down and they've been approved in different places.
You got to turn them upside down like cockroaches. The only thing you do there.
Cockroaches? What? Say that again.
Those robo dogs, you got to turn them upside down like a cockroach, and they'll just sit there like.
They do look like, yeah. No, I'm with you on that. I
don't like machinery. Seriously, like I'm not afraid of many things, but I don't like machinery. So I don't like dinosaurs.
But I don't think robots should carry weapons. I mean, that also.
I don't either. I mean, surveillance is one thing, but robots with weapons. I mean, we're getting really close to Terminator 2 territory there.
Real close to Terminator.
Turn on Skynet.
Yeah, I was going to say like earlier, if we're the parents, our children are going to be one of those ones that turn out and end up killing the parents because you give them a gun, which we're doing, right? Give them some smarts enough to look at the human race and go, you guys suck, and then they'll just shoot us.
Yeah.
Put it straight to the point, yeah. Because think about it, we all know we're flawed, right? We strive. That's the whole point. We strive to be a beautiful human, right?
Yeah.
Their machines, we've made them perfectly better than us. Very better than us, they reckon. Well, what do you think they're going to deem us? Imperfect. It's just natural common sense.
Yeah. Well, I think what we'll end up seeing is the whole area of policing where you're doing predictive programming, right? You're predicting if someone's going to do something, right? Just based on their past or their thinking or
thought police. Yeah. Thought police.
Yeah.
Now think about it, if they can use technology and they can harness a psychic's mind, there's your thought police.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's very dangerous. So everyone that's gifted now.
The AI and the algorithms, I believe, have been testing thought process. Because it used to be you could be conversation and your phone or your devices would pick it up, and then eventually you would have a recommendation for this or that based on what you were speaking of. And then lately, I'm not saying anything, but I'm thinking things, and sure enough, the ad will pop up the next day, just by thought, just by they're getting so sophisticated with search words, keywords that you're using. They're able to piece things together and almost just get it perfect.
But yeah, when you think of it like that, that's actually because the camera in the shopping centre that's 10 miles away from you saw you go there and buy something. So when you got home, your machine knows that you did it and then puts it up, right? So it's a cheating. It's not actually real, proper reading minds and psychic gift. It's actually cheating.
Yeah.
Physically cheating. And we know where that comes from and what energy that is out of. Yeah, that's wrong. So, yeah, because that happened to one of my kids. He went, Mum, I went to the shop and bought this thing. I never bought it before. Come home, turn my computer on to play a game, and there was the ad for it right there. How did it know I bought it? And that's what I read. I saw you.
No, that's exactly correct. And the company that I work for put out that software where you set up a marketing plan, and the marketing plan knows exactly what we're going to buy, when we're going to buy it, how to respond to us, how to keep us involved and excited about their products and purchasing and all kinds of stuff. That's what it's there for.
Totally agree.
Really interesting. Very interesting. So
yeah, a quick little shameless plug for everybody here. We are kind of getting a little longer in the stream.
Yeah.
Next Friday on Remembering Dev. Sorry, I can't speak tonight. Remembering Dave Kev Baker, the Remembrance stream. It's a tribute, celebration, memorial. It's a festivity. I'm going to be there. Nano Girl's going to be there. Luna may pop in. Naysay more than likely, I know, will be there. But we're just going to have, I don't want to call it a reunion, but it kind of feels like a reunion.
Yeah.
And you can find it at the stream on YouTube at KevDaveBaker.remembering.
And when the stream is set up, I will drop it. So the actual destination will be posted.
One click away.
Yes.
Yeah.
One click away.
Hope you can join us.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody wants to join and chat, I'll drop the link. I dropped it a couple of times.
Yeah, jump on, Buzz, and give us your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, if you're I'm cool with it, Buzz, if you want it. I mean, here you go. Here's the link.
So here we are. Go back around the calendar.
Yeah. So, I mean, prophecy. I mean, it's what you make it. I mean, there's no definite prophecy. There are people who are trying to manipulate it, and you can make your own prophecy.
You just got to observe.
Yeah, kind of. Maybe we're all prophets. We manifest our own visions and our own realities.
Right.
We plan out for things that makes us personal prophets.
Yeah. Something's there.
Creative.
Yeah.
We're creative beings. Many creative beings we are. We've got the power to create things. Spiritually and physically, emotionally, mentally, we can create things. That's what we do. But we're not responsible, right? As we're not responsible for it because we haven't been taught this is what you can do. You need to practice this and this to learn how to wield these things in a good manner. We've never been taught to do that. We've been manipulated and controlled instead. And now we have to do a little bit of a double take and go, oh, everything kind of stopped. I've got to be responsible for this. What am I actually being responsible for? What am I doing? What am I creating? And and then you start to understand how it works.
Right.
Change things in your life. Yeah. But only you can do it. No one else can do it for you. Only you can do it for yourself.
True. So, Naysay, you got any kind of final thoughts on prophecy, aliens, end times, dreams,
It
artificial intelligence, robots, all this stuff that kind of doesn't seem like it should tie in together, but it all does.
it will be what it was. We have the ability to manipulate the energies, the power of intention and direction. And if we could possibly collectively gather like these opportunities and focus or fine tune the transmission, then possibly those that receive the directions, the intentions, may also exponentially increase that transmission for the reception to be taken open-heartedly, and the positivity generated may be a fine example to where the extraterrestrials are like, all right, let's nudge that meteorite a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right, and it's just going to go by and everybody's going to wipe their brow and say, woo, that was a close one. Let's not screw it up again.
I hear you on that one. Luna, you got any kind of closing thoughts or comments?
Yeah, what can I say? I don't know. I'm just thinking about the New Year's coming and letting go of all the crappy stuff. Learn from the experiences of the year we've just been through. And prophesize your own life. Take control of your own life. Yeah. Hey, let's all just go into the new year all happy, full of love, and all the knowledge that comes to us in the next year won't affect us too much in any different way, and we will stay strong. I don't know. That's all I think. I'm a bit tired. I stayed up really.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah, I had to practice last night to stay up late so I can stay up late tonight. If that makes sense.
I don't know why I was thinking, is this like night for you or afternoon daytime?
We're at.
I'm just confused with.
Yeah,
Are you in the afternoon or in the morning?
Afternoon. You know the afternoon
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you need a natty nap. Yeah, that's where I'm. Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say I'm gonna feel horrifically bad if it's 3 o'clock in the morning in Australia.
No, I wouldn't be here. I'd go and bed. Like I said, I have to practice to stay up late. I'm getting old.
Me too.
The knowledge that, like the stuff that we're seeing all about the others and everything, there's going to be more coming. I know that, and it's up to you to decipher what's real and what isn't real. And only you can decipher that for yourself. Don't listen to other people. Decipher it for yourself. Make your own decision.
Yes.
And get some popcorn because it'll be good.
It'll be good, but it's not quite time for popcorn.
No. It depends how much you like popcorn.
That's true. This is true.
I like to have it at the beginning of the show and go and get another one for the end of the show.
Yeah, and popcorn is an old, I think the oldest popcorn found was close to 2,000 years old.
Wow.
I used to know popcorn stats and everything. I used to, when I was at the museum at the concession stand, we had to display a historical timeline of popcorn, and it goes way back.
Wow.
And I mean, the popcorn back then was different.
Yeah.
It was completely different than it is now. All of our corn, sadly, is GMO.
I know. That's why I don't really eat it much, but I'll have my occasional popcorn.
Yeah.
Sad. Isn't it sad? So anyone that time travels, please go back and do a grocery shopping for us and bring it back. To the thing.
Bring back some real Fruity Pebbles.
Yeah.
Because they were the best way back in time. But anyhow, I'm getting way off track. And Nano Girl,
Now, what does that mean?
closing thoughts or statements or arguments.
I used to like Zag nuts from the olden days, and they don't taste the same now, but they were really good. It's kind of like, what's a Zag nut? Anyway, I agree with you, and I think we've had some good conversations the last 2 days about 2023, and you want to protect your happiness with all of your strength, and maybe we'll be learning this year some new skills, some more tools, and getting stronger as we walk through all this, because I don't think they're going to let up on their programming. So we're just going to have to get better and better at ignoring and then figuring out, because I've been thinking about this a lot, that as I walk through, what does my life look like when I'm not buying into either side of the game or any of the games, and what's my role, and how do I know to make a decision? I was listening to some people talk today about how one of the people on the show actually works for the CIA, and CIA, he says, I visualize this person gets a fax in the morning from the CIA, and they go online and they go on camera and read it. He goes, and that's such an easy job because it's crappy, but it's easy. And I'm thinking, yeah, we have no idea where all this stuff's coming from. We don't know. And we're going to have to keep using our discernment.
Yep.
Right. And be smart about it and figure. But it's just so prolific, and you hardly know, So my point is, as we learn more and more, who is coming from that point of view, and with the fax machine from the CIA.
Funny you brought that up,
Stay aware.
because exactly yesterday, I was watching a thing, and it's a guy in his car, and I'm listening to his talking, but I was watching his eyes where they were going when he was talking.
Yeah.
And I realized that's what he was doing. He was reading. And what you just said is the exact thing that went through my mind.
Right.
This guy's a plant. He's reading. He's making it look like he's not, but he's just a regular guy like all of us. But he was reading. You could tell, and that's what I thought. Did he get a letter from the suits? And
yes, he did. He got the fax.
Yeah.
And he just pulled it out, and here it is for the show, and you just
yeah. Well, this guy didn't, but he was in the car. He was one of the guys that do it in his car when he's driving around and make it look normal, right? Like he's just a regular person. But you could see his eyes. He was sitting at the dashboard. It must have been sitting in front of him on the dashboard there, and you could see him reading it off. And the note of what he was saying, I'm thinking, this don't sit comfortable. And then when I saw him reading it, and that's the flash I got in my head, he got a letter and he's reading it out. Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. There you go. You just confirmed my
confirmation. And the thing that's confusing for me is the names that they call themselves are completely opposite of what they're doing. Right. They have all these weird names, and they have absolutely nothing to do with what they're really. It's in fact they're doing the opposite, and that I my head has a hard time disconnecting that. It's like, yeah, but they said they were this. It's like, yeah, but they lied.
Right.
Yeah, and I find that I'm comfortable in the middle. Neither side. I choose none. I don't choose the left. I don't choose the right. I choose just me.
Yeah. No, that's exactly correct. Well, that's smart.
And I've stopped paying attention to. I'm not getting so caught up with the news cycle, because more and more and more evidence is coming out that it's not. The whole Twitter, Facebook, FBI, YouTube, all these big tech companies, they're all the same. If there's the corruption that was exposed in Twitter, it lies everywhere else. So I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to move forward and not pay attention to either side. I'm going to walk with my friends and my family and just move forward and wish good intent for my fellow human being.
Everyone wants to do the picnic area. Everyone's waiting.
Exactly. Bring your picnic food. Let's all sit down and have a picnic. I like that.
Yep. So, and with that, I mean, I just want to wish everybody a happy new year.
Yes. Yep.
I
Happy.
got one more working day this year, but it'll be fine.
There isn't a Happy New Year song, is there?
No, there's Old Lang Syne, but that's kind of like
Happy New Year. We need to make a
there we go. That's our mission for 2024. Just create a new one.
Has to have a catchy jingle like all the rest.
Yeah, so if anybody is still here, Buzz,
Yep.
love you, dude. Keep up your poetry in 2023.
Keep it flowing.
Yes, the world needs you, Buzz.
Everyone, keep being you. Don't let them get you distracted.
Joe, Sister Joe, hoping you have a fantastic, happy New Year. And Cinnamunk was here. Blessings on you, Cinnamunk. And Tessa, blessings bestowed on our friend Tessa.
Yep.
And Naysay and Sharon and June.
And Malaya was here.
Hi,
Our sister.
and everyone else that we know that isn't here.
And Propagate the Light. Our friend Propagate was here.
Oh, wow.
Happy New Year, Propagate the Light. Blessings.
He come across my mind the other day. I wondered where he went.
And Connie G.
And
And
Connie.
Connie. Happy New Year, Connie.
Hugs, Connie. Okay. Wonder what it's going to bring. It's like Christmas, the year. So we do
Extended Christmas.
Christmas actually comes up. What's it going to bring us?
Yeah, so next Friday we're all at the
Yep.
at the gathering. The clan is gathering.
Next week.
And the following Friday after that,
Probably I'll be back. I'm having a break
yeah.
because all this is happening. So I'm having a break. I'll probably
Yeah, and then sooner or later before the month's out, we'll be back with some economy stuff.
Yeah.
And then we've got that coming up, which is good. And who knows? We might know some more technology by then and have better ways of doing everything.
Trial and error.
Trial and error.
Trial and error.
Yep.
So, yeah. All right then.
So yeah, I mean, this is bye 2022. I'll see everybody in 2023. Love you guys. Take care.
Yellow.
Yaloo.
Hello.
Toodles, share the giggles.